is there this kind of utopia scenario where you just take this automated system, GPT, investor GPT, plug it in and sit at the beach? Is there ever such a scenario?
It needs to give the best trading experience to the trader. So to achieve that, the chain needs to be perfect. This starts by technology. Like, you have to have a great technology setups in all departments of a brokerage. This is the major factor, I think, and the key.
Hello, Elif. Welcome to another podcast. This is The Financial Frontiers, Leaders in the Field, as you are one of the leaders in the field. Thank you for joining. Elif Kundakci, is that correct, the spelling, the pronunciation? Okay. Elif Kundakci, we've worked before. You're the CEO of Swissquote Capital Markets. Tell us a bit about yourself, give an introduction. Let's hear who Elif is, where you're from, how we got to this point, and your career generally.
Thank you, Dinos, for having me here. I'm really excited taking part on this podcast. Thank you for the invitation. It's a big pleasure. Well, to myself, yes, Elif started as a little trainee in a German closed-end-up funds many years ago, and how life wills, it continues, and I started trading there on different platforms, making different research as a student, as a clerk. You start with different parts, and you get in one which you really enjoy and like, and that was for me back then trading. And so I grow in that path, and at some point I moved to Cyprus, where the CFD and brokerage market was booming. I worked for several big names in the dealing desk here in Cyprus, got over some startups and got some director positions, and lately I joined Swissquote Capital Markets. We got the license here in Cyprus in December, and since January we are passported in all European countries. So since then the journey of Swissquote Capital Markets started, and I'm one of them.
With you at the captain's at the front of the ship, let's call it. Okay, that's good. So. So Swissquote Capital, obviously, Swissquote Capital Markets is obviously a Cyprus-based investment firm, which is is it a subsidiary of, how's the whole group, the structure of Swissquote generally? Because Swissquote, as you know, is a well-known brand, right?
Yes, correct. Swissquote as a brand is 25 years. It's 25 years on the market, and we are also on the Swiss Stock Exchange. And Swissquote Capital Market is the door of Swissquote to Europe, because Swissquote Group is in Switzerland. Switzerland is not in the EU, so they are located in EU, but they cannot deal with European clients. So the group decided to open towards Europe. So we got the license here in Cyprus to start and kick off. The group as such has different as a banking group, started as a banking group. We have banks in Luxembourg, in Switzerland, regulated by FINMA. We have subsidiaries in Malta, We have also an FCA license entity. And outside of the European environment, we are active in Dubai, in Hong Kong. So we have different subsidiaries in the group. And here in Cyprus, with Swissquote Capital Markets, we are targeting mainly the European retail clients.
So when we say European, it means all member states in the EU.
Yes.
And that's why in Switzerland, Swissquote Group in Switzerland obviously cannot offer its services to the rest of the EU because it's not a member state. Right.
Correct.
And then, so for 25 years, and what was their client base then? If out of Switzerland, which was the clientele? It was just mainly Swiss, like.
No, not only. Until Brexit, they had an FCA license, which they could still target Europe.
Oh, right, okay.
And
because the FCA is in the UK, for those who don't know.
yes, sorry, yeah.
That's okay.
And apart from that, we have also the bank in Luxembourg, which was acquired as well. So the client base was also Europe, but now we are focusing on the European retail clients, not institutional, not retail clients, European retail clients.
And the bank, is it a normal bank like the bank that I understand, like the Bank of Cyprus, where you can, open an account, a savings account, and have a loan? And is it like that, or
yes,
normal bank?
Yes,
Cool.
it's
Okay.
well, I wouldn't say a normal bank. We have a very strong fintech background, and we challenge the code. This is our quote. We challenge the code. So banking is not for bankers. So it's for everyone.
Okay.
So we differ quite a lot from.
Being technology centric.
Yes.
Okay, and just back to your experience. So you were a trainee. You started out in a German brokerage firm. When was that? In 2000?
99.
99.
Yes.
There's a lot of experience. What trading platform was that you were using?
It was basically it was a closed-end-up fund company, and we had a small amount of money which we could invest in alternative products. And back then I used the MetaTrader.
In 99, it was
Yes.
MetaTrader?
Yes, not the 4, it was the...
MetaTrader 3.
Yes, which, now they call it Meta 3, but back then it was just the MetaTrader.
Oh, okay.
Yes, 1 to 1,000 leverage.
That's what you had, right? Wow.
Yes.
Yeah, and
Yes.
in Germany, was the regulator in Germany, what is it? BaFin. Yeah.
BaFin. Back then it was still, of course we had BaFin as a regulator, but the broker was not regulated by BaFin.
Mm-hmm.
It was a wild west environment, to be honest.
Yeah. Where the spread back then on the euro dollar, what kind of products were being traded back then?
To be honest, I was trading mainly oil because our alternative product, like the main product, was funds on shipping companies, on container ships, and oil was a major factor affecting the performance of the fund. So I was trying to hedge on oil through trading. Yeah, that was my innocent start, I would say. Yeah, I was trading mainly oil and gold.
Okay. Yeah. Wow. And was Forex in the mix back then?
Yes, but back then it wasn't so like now that you can open and find easily access to podcasts like this one to develop yourself. It was trial and error, more or less. As I said, it was wild west. Nothing was really. CFD trading was still in baby shoes, not really known. Although, Forex exchange, you do it every.
Yeah, on the bank level.
It was more like for nerds, I would say.
Do you consider yourself a nerd?
Yes, still and always.
Nerd is the new cool.
Yeah, I agree.
Cool.
Yeah.
And then you moved to Cyprus. When was that?
Well, it was an ongoing process. It was not like from one day to the other, I move now. So it was an ongoing process between 2010 and 2013. I was going back and forth, and 2013, during the crisis.
Yeah, we had the crisis over here.
Yeah.
The haircut.
Yeah, when everyone was leaving, I was coming. Buy the dips.
Yes. You know what they say, the people who walk against the grain are the ones who win, right?
Yeah, here we are.
Awesome. Okay. And so that 2010 was kind of early-ish days as an industry in Cyprus. Obviously, the SISIC existed then, yeah, and I think there must not have been many brokers. Obviously, the biggest names that exist today were back then, but many of the brokers that exist today didn't. And so, okay, and you moved from, as you mentioned, from the dealing desk into managerial positions. When was that about?
That was about it's a transition period. You move on, and you start low, and then at some point to the C level. I moved 2016 to the C level. 2017. Yeah, end of 2017. It was more like a transition period, and to the C level slowly after 2017. Yes.
Yeah, and that's that's the best way, I guess. If you work from the ground up, in a specific industry, as you did, when you get to that C level, and now as you are the CEO, practically, you've got that practical experience on what it takes and what's required, especially from like the dealing desk, and I would imagine managing risk, which is a lot of the points that we'll discuss, I guess, on this.
Well, yeah. Also, basically, you have a full understanding of the entire operation, because you went through all the stages. You had an idea how it is in a dealing desk. You had an idea how dealing desk and back office is working together, or dealing desk and sales. It gives you the opportunity, if you grow in one in this flow, it gives you the opportunity to have a holistic understanding of the entire process and all the departments. So as the captain of the ship, as you just said, you understand the pain of back office when he comes and says the payments are not working, or the platform is not synchronizing. It's not like what's happening there? I have an understanding why that's happening and how to solve it. So it gives good chances, and you can be hands-on. You are not just behind the screen and checking the numbers. No, you can be hands-on. If it's needed, you put the hat on of a dealer and start trading if it's needed.
Yeah. 100%. I mean, that is the best way to lead.
Yeah.
Okay, and let's talk a little bit about that CEO position.
Yes.
Right, and a brokerage firm. Let's talk about that. So if we had to kind of put in an analogy, let's say a comparative example to the general person out there, if I run a supermarket, right? I know that in the supermarket, I have certain expenses, whatever it is. I've got the staff, the cashiers, the management of the supermarket. Then I've got the bakery. I've got the fridges for the butchery. I've got all the stock. So I've got electricity expenses. Then I've also got the stock that I need to buy, and the rent for the premises and storage rooms and whatever it is. Right, so that's easy to understand for the average Joe. Now, what are the expenses and what are the, in terms of operations, what does it take to run a brokerage business? And, obviously we know the end product. So the end product in the supermarket example is groceries, obviously, right? I walk in, I know what I'm expecting from a supermarket. I'm going to get, my bread, whatever it is, my groceries. I'm going to walk out. Thank you for the customer service. It's a clean environment. Thank you very much. What is a brokerage, right? So what are the expenses around a brokerage? And the end product we know is that a trader is given access to the markets and can invest money, for the goal of increasing their portfolio or their investment and earning a profit. So what are the expenses? What does the operations look like?
Well, first of all, let's look at a brokerage, what a brokerage does. And as you said, the end product is the access to a trading platform, but it needs, as the supermarket needs to be clean, also the trading platform needs to be flawless. So it needs to give the best trading experience to the trader. So to achieve that, the chain needs to be perfect. This starts by technology. Like, you have to have a great technology setups in all departments of a brokerage. This is the major factor, I think, and the key. So when you look at each department of a brokerage, it starts from the trading platform, then it goes to the connection to the markets of this trading platform, then it goes to the payment systems and the connection of the payment system with the banks, with the PSPs, the payment providers. Then this goes again to the CRM system, which is again connecting all this information. And then it goes to the other part, which the client might not see so much, but to ensure a good and flawless trading environment, you have to monitor all these small aspects, and this needs also technology. So bottom line, on all this, you need to have good technology. So apart from that, then you have also all the other costs for a setup of a brokerage, which are connected with the regulation, the regulator. You have to have a minimum amount of investment, own funds. Then you have to have a very, very good team. And I think apart from technology, if you ask me what are the two main pillars which hold a brokerage, it's technology and the team. These two elements together can give a very good brokerage setup.
I agree, and I must mention you've helped me with my team in the past, right? A few of my people, you've helped me get them. Thank you. Actually, let me say that here in the podcast, publish it to the world. Thank you, Elif, for your help in the past.
It's a pleasure. It's always a major target of mine to train people, and if I see stars, to push them in a way, in any way I can, and it's
they are stars, and they've got nothing but positive things to say about you.
I'm glad to hear that, and likewise. Otherwise, I wouldn't recommend them.
And that you're multilingual.
Yeah.
5 languages. It's all good. You know, you're humble, so you got to promote yourself, Elif.
Well, it's again, I think I was quite lucky with my upbringing. I grew up in a multilingual family environment, and later on, it helped me again when getting into brokerage. One major thing is also monitoring of the conversation to keep the quality high, and that helped me again because I was able to understand conversation of clients or the needs of clients in different languages. It's helped me again. So
anything you know is all good, and then you pass it on to your son as well.
Yeah. yes. He.
What are the languages?
Basically German, Turkish, Greek, English, French. So.
You can travel the world. You know, got no problem.
Spanish is
missing, right?
Spanish is missing.
Chinese?
Well.
Oh man, that was challenging.
Yeah. Well, I heard once when I was learning Greek that it helps to learn languages with different letters to avoid Alzheimer. So yeah.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
You know, the brain, just like muscles need exercise,
Exactly.
the brain needs to be exercised.
Exactly. So my target when I'm 50 and above is to start a language like Arabic or maybe Chinese.
Maybe I should too. I don't know. It's a big challenge. It's just so many on the
After 50.
After 50, right? You know, the thing is, people, I think generally, and this is, I guess, maybe a bit off topic, but when it comes to something like that, you know, when you want to pursue a goal, whatever that goal is, learning a new language or whatever it is, it's just discipline, right?
Yeah.
You got to show up and do what you need to do daily, consistently, every day, regardless of, you know, how difficult it is or how you feel. You just got to show up, do the work consistently every day, and then it'll happen.
Exactly, that's true. And it's something which I try always to pass to the next generation, that you don't wake up one morning and you became successful. You do something and you know it from one day to the other. No, you have to go through the painful path of learning, failing, and moving on. And the biggest failure is if you don't learn out of your failure, because you never failed, because you never tried. So that's
100%.
Yeah.
Good. So let's talk a little bit about how, from your view, how this industry has evolved. And I think, you know, with you can go even further back than certainly than what I can, you know, give in terms of insight with regard to how the industry has evolved. So, you know, back in 2000, how trading was back then, and then, you know, how technology has evolved, obviously, the products, I guess, that have been used and traded generally, and where we are today. What has been that, you know, how has things evolved generally?
To be honest, the biggest development for me is the development towards the protection of the end client.
Mm-hmm.
That's like, yes, the technology involved a lot. Like back then you had few indicators in the system, and I mean, with the speed of the internet, sometimes it was, you were putting a trade and it was taking ages, and you wouldn't know if it would execute it or not. So the development of internet helped, of course, to get everything further. But apart from that, the protection of the client, of the end client or the end trader, is for me, in my eyes, the biggest development and the most adorable development in this market. Because back then, 1 to 1,000 leverage, as I said, you put one trade, it went just slightly against you and you were blown out. Or you didn't have any protection. Your account might have gone to minus and you were sitting there with...
Yeah.
Yeah.
So those are good points, and I'm interrupting you there because obviously that was the very early days, and when you mentioned connectivity, I didn't even think of that. Back then it was dial-up.
Exactly. To the
click.
56.
What I used to do back then was download songs on Napster.
Yeah. Yeah.
Not trading. Wow. And then the way I like to explain this leverage, right, is and I just thought of this now. So the way best to explain leverage and how that's dangerous is, if you could imagine, today's a day of metaphoric examples. We brought the supermarket before, and now. So the difference when it comes to leverage is, imagine you're a driver and you're not so experienced, and then you get into a car that does 0 to 100 in 20 seconds, right? And in front of you is a cliff. If you push the foot flat, you've got enough time to respond and press the brake before you fly off the cliff. But if you get into a Porsche Cayenne, the electronic one, which one? The Taycan, which is 0 to 100 in 2.8, and you get in and you push the foot flat, you're flying off that cliff. So that's that's a good, I guess, example, metaphoric example of what leverage means. So that tap, right? That as you enter into the trade, that 1 to 1,000. It's just got so much force behind it because the size, the volume size, that trade is so much bigger. And then the negative balance protection, just for to build a context for the viewers who may not know what that is. And obviously, when you're in the German brokerage firm back then, as you said, there was no regulation, so it was kind of a gray area. The negative balance protection is in place that the regulators have put in place, where before, if you entered into a trade where you didn't really know the dangers around these movements, and you entered into 1 to 1,000 and you had a balance of $500, right, or €500, and it went in the opposite direction with 1 to 1,000 leverage, you're not going to lose 500 only. You're going to smash into minus. Boom. And then, and I think, I don't know, correct me even if I'm wrong, I think even some brokerage firms would go and ask the client to cover the negative.
Yes.
So the regulator says, you're not allowed to do that. Don't do that. The end trader you need to cover that minus, not the end trader. No. So that's the negative balance protection, right?
Yes, correct. And that's something which for many years was practiced by some companies which are out there, not anymore, but some companies, they would request this money back. And
then some trader would go because they don't know what they were supposed to do or not do, fear, whatever it is. Maybe more respect for a broker that was not regulated than they deserved, I guess. Yeah. So, okay, so continue. So we had the leverage, which regulation is kind of fixed. The negative balance protection, that negative balance protection, when did they apply that? 2004. 18? Was it so late?
Yes, it was.
Okay, well, whatever it is.
Before that, we had the margin call, which would close your account, which would close the position. So the chances to go to negative was
reduced.
but still there. But I think, if I'm not mistaken, it was 18 when, with the implication, yes.
Okay.
Yeah. With the
And obviously,
implication
these
of
are just some examples that so regulation has evolved. I agree.
Yeah.
And I've seen it in the last almost 10 years. I could only imagine how much it has evolved in your perspective of the industry. Okay. Let's talk about the regulator as well. How else have they helped?
Well, of course, it's again learning by time, by doing a process also for the regulator, because it's a new product. Some people might find some loopholes, and from out of these loopholes a danger is coming out, and the regulator is reacting on these dangers, evaluating the danger and reacting on the danger. And especially as mass product intervention measures helped a lot to filter and clean up this business. Apart from that, also all the possibility of saying, okay, to which clients are you able to offer this product helped a lot. Until then, anyone could go and trade. But with that step, the people which were able to go to the supermarket to buy certain stuff was limited. And this is something which is really important, because you offer your product only to those ones which are able to handle to trade these products, because in a certain way this is really, it is a complex product. It's not, as some brokers used to say a few years ago, it's a simple thing, just get in, it's so easy to. No, it's not. It's not. It's a complex product. It is an investment. And as you make thoughts what to do when you are buying a car, from whom to buy, how to buy, which car to buy, it's the same. You have to make a filtration. It's not just go in, click some red or blue buttons and that's it. No, it's not. It is something you have to learn, you have to work, and you have to have a good partner, a good broker which you can trust. Then it's a good environment to trade.
So would you say the broker almost has a responsibility to educate?
Yes, definitely. Like, of course, the end client, the trader, needs to educate himself as well, but the broker is also responsible to filter those clients or those potentials which are maybe not made for this. You know, there is always a chance to have a potential who just heard about investment, easy access to the markets, and it's the responsibility of the broker to say, you know what, stop, it's better that you keep your money in your pocket, because it seems that this is not made for you, you know.
Yeah, the problem there is that many people, it's like the kind of advice you get from a parent, like from parents, right?
Yeah.
Where they say, don't do that. But, you want to explore something, and then if you don't know why, sometimes, let the person learn themselves. Obviously not to the point where they've lost all their money. But, some people listen, but some people don't, right? They just want to find out for themselves, right? I think it's the same. So I guess the education or the warning, so to speak, should come in the form of properly explaining why, and I guess platforms like this, where...
Yeah, and that's why we have also at Swissquote Capital Markets the possibility of personal touch. Like, we have a fully digital platform, but we have also your personal person you can talk to. So this person is, I will call it your parent. And again, it's coming back to what I said at the beginning. You have to fail sometimes to learn. 100%. And we don't close the door to people which they don't know how to trade or whatever. But we have also, based on the regulation, a certain filter where we say, okay, if we see in the first stage that this product is not suitable for you, think about it. If there is, something where we see that you have just a bit lack of knowledge, of course, our dedicated person will teach you or help you to learn and cover those lack of knowledge. This is a process which we have embedded. We are not like which is the new trend, full automated digital marketing, digital platform, no personal touch, just chat robots and so on. It's not like we still have this personal touch, and it's important for us to have a dedicated person for each trader for this kind of cases, that a client needs support on simple things. Maybe he doesn't know how to set up an indicator. There we go. Maybe very simple, like it can be from very simple to more advanced knowledge which he needs to get from our dedicated person. And this comes back also again to the team. We choose our team members very, very, they go through a very strong screening process, and it's important for us that the client can build up his knowledge based on the knowledge which our dedicated person has, and we build up our team as well. We educate our team to pass this information to the end client. So the circle is closed. Like, we don't dish out clients which they don't have a knowledge, but we see the lack or the missing points, and it's like a puzzle. We fill it in. And there, yes, it is also the responsibility of the broker to give this service to the client.
It makes a lot of sense, and I think also there's also an element, or part of a trading experience in building the knowledge that is I think it may be impossible to train someone. You can give them the theory, but if they don't experience it themselves, then, for example, take emotion out of trading. I've heard this so many times. If you've got a specific strategy, with some rules and based on how you're going to enter the market and exit the market, and a good investor, and this is just a book that I'm reading now. I don't consider myself an investor at all, but I understand the industry from a technology standpoint and setting up these products. So the theory is there, but as an investor, no. So I'm reading this, the Intelligent Investor. I recommend that book, and there it mentions, when it comes to investing smart, is you got to have these protocols in place where, the amount of money that you invest should not be money that you need, for your basic needs, obviously. And then the rules that you apply to whatever strategy that is, so much investment in, and they split, they talk about splitting between bonds and stocks, safe, tier one or whatever they consider it, investments, which, treasury bonds or whatever they consider the US, whatever's considered safe and versus 25% on stocks, which is not so safe, and then the amount that you invest and the diversification and all of that. So as long as you follow these rules, however the market moves and how you enter shouldn't affect you. And if you're going to look at your money and say, my $2,000 has now become $1,800. Oh my God, exit. That's emotional trading, and that because you cannot predict the ebbs and flows, right, of how the markets move. But what this book is, at least in the way I'm understanding it, is position yourself with some rules, let's call it. And then, do you agree with that?
Yes, definitely. You have to have a trading plan. We call it trading plan. You have to have a trading plan, and of course, you will have some bad days, which doesn't mean that you totally fail. No, you have to sit and analyze those bad days, what went wrong on that day, and you have to learn out of this. And I think this is one of the biggest mistakes which traders do. They analyze their good trades and they forget about their bad trades.
That's a bad strategy.
Yes,
if you're going to remember only the good ones.
It is. I mean, if you look nowadays on all these social media of all these traders or wannabe traders, what they do is just posting their good trades and say, no, it's you have to learn from your mistakes, and it's the only way how you become good. And as you said, yes, the money you invest should be the money you don't need, so you can detach emotionally from it. It shouldn't be your next month's bread and butter, And you should invest time in checking what your mistakes are,
Yes. Yes. So analyze, attempt again, don't repeat mistakes.
Exactly. And then again, podcasts like this one help people to educate and see.
Or at least point them in the right direction on how to start.
Yes, exactly. Like back then when I was starting, I didn't have this possibilities, and it was more like hearing from here and there, do this, do that. If it goes, if there are two candles red, then the next one will be yes. No. So
that is not a strategy.
No. At least not recommended by me.
Yes. If anybody takes anything out of this podcast, just take that one away. It doesn't mean that if it was red, the candle before red, the next one, that it's going to be green after.
But this kind of information are out there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because people look for shortcuts.
Yeah, of course.
Right? They look for shortcuts and they say, what is an easy way to make money? There's no... If it was that easy, everybody would be.
Exactly, and that's a very, very good point where I come again to the product intervention measures with the reduced leverage. A lot of people, they complain why the leverage is in Europe so little. Exactly this. We don't look for shortcuts. When you look for shortcuts, you look for this high leverage, and then you cut yourself. While when you have this lower leverage, you try to learn on the long run, and you don't get harmed or you don't get harmed in the extent it used to be. So there again, coming back to the support of the regulator, this is a major positive development for the end trader, which some people, they don't see it as a positive development, but from this point of view, it's a...
I think maybe just to also put another point out there is the shortcut that people are looking for. You should not discount what you just mentioned now. Smaller investments with a lower leverage. Don't discount the power of compounding, because every small piece, as long as you follow a certain strategy that works well over a long term, that could be much bigger than what anybody would expect. The compounding effect, So let's talk then about, I guess it's a good opportunity to move on to how you've seen technology evolve. And since we're talking about, investments, what is the best way to invest? How has, for example, like EAs, right? Expert advisors back then, if they even existed, versus how they are today. And is there this kind of utopia scenario where you just take this automated system, GPT, investor GPT, plug it in and sit at the beach? Is there ever such a scenario?
Well, the EAs back then, they are a kind of ChatGPT of trading, in the very, very first versions, let's say, because also in EA you put certain criteria, and with this criteria is done, you reach the trade is executed or the trade is closed. So you sit on the beach and let it do. But what happens if the criteria is false? However, it's I believe, as I said, it was the beginning. It was back then already running, of course, with limited indicators. And now with all the developments of artificial intelligence, I believe it's going in this direction, in these automated systems and trading and collecting of more data to make the false outcome less, to reduce the false outcome. I highly believe that the connection between artificial intelligence and EAs or trading, I believe it's might be the next trend, might be the next hype. But again, here we need to see. Like I had a prof at the university who was always saying, 100 years ago you had to search for information. Mm-hmm. Now you have to filter the information.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah, and I believe also with EAs and artificial intelligence and so on, we have to be carefully. It will be it will be accessible for everyone. The data is out there. Which one we get? We have to filter. And again, you as an individual trader, you need to educate yourself to be able to make this filtration, which is good, which is not good. This is a good EA, this is not a good EA. So again, it comes down to you. You cannot delegate this to something else out there without your own making the screening, understand what's going on out there. Otherwise you give it's like giving your kidney out,
Also, I think maybe what people need to understand generally is there's not going to be I think you need to put the effort. So
yeah.
I mean, we are doing this ourselves now with the ChatGPT is incredibly powerful, but it's as powerful as how you use it, right? So there's I've actually started now with the dream team, right? With the stars you mentioned before. So we incorporating it into the daily process with specific with our niche. It's not going to get to this point that we imagine where things are fully automated and it's you've actually leveraged off of the technology to be more efficient unless you don't put the work. And I'm experiencing that firsthand. For example, the podcast, right? And the emails that you've been getting and this whole agenda and whatever it is, I've leveraged off of ChatGPT for that, I'll be honest with you. So and the way things will change, I think, at least as things stand now, and I'm putting my perspective here on this, is prompt engineering, right? So how you prompt the AI will become a real skill that's required. So it's not, as I see it, it's not going to take away any job, right? The dealer, for example, a dealer is always going to be needed. You may not, the dealer's job changes, right? With a technology such as ChatGPT, for example, or whichever AI. Instead of you doing that manual work where you need to, and you'd be a good person to understand what to prompt an AI for the results you want. Like, I mean, for example, like you can't be a doctor, for example, and say, cure me. You need to know exactly what to ask. So as a dealer, for example, you need to know the answers that it gives back are going to be very efficient in terms of that manual work that you needed to put before, crunching the numbers, doing your reconciliation, looking at, how exposed am I on the dollar versus, all the instruments that are dollar-based, the stuff more. And then the results it gives back, you understand it's accurate or not. What it does effectively is that human process of going to the database, querying it, finding that information that you would have manually needed to go and look for. And then the result that it comes back with, you understand, okay, that was, that's efficient like that, that was fast. As, what ChatGPT is good at is text, right? And composing paragraphs and whatever. So that's what helped me. It's not as if I don't know how to write, an email. But if I prompt it, write me up this email, boom, I've got it in 10 seconds.
Yeah. It's funny that you mentioned that. Actually, we had this discussion with our group CCO, Lino, a few weeks ago. And we have collecting data and artificial intelligence. And he mentioned if you put on ChatGPT fishing salmon or fisher salmon, you will find a fisher sitting on a salmon which is ready to be cooked, know? So, in fact, yes, the data is out there, but you still need this human touch to validate the data which is coming out of artificial intelligence. So I think the combination of both, it's going to be like with artificial intelligence, you can skip a lot of, I will call it donkey work, but the validation and the validation of the result, human touch is needed. And it's an empowerment.
100%. So, okay, let's move on to, because I think we're almost out of time here, Elif.
Really?
There's just so much more we could say. We've got a few minutes.
Okay.
Let's talk about the actual trading, right? How trading has evolved. With regard to, how do pick out a broker that is there with good technology, that's actually providing a service of value.
Yes.
And what are the things in the past that used to occur before that have been fixed today? And we were discussing this before, is spread, for example. Like, it doesn't mean that where 10 years ago, or whatever, 15 years ago, spread was the way, the spread on the euro dollar back then was, what is it, 8 points or 10 points, which is unheard of today. But it doesn't necessarily mean that if spread is low, that it is an indication that the broker is good or the technology is good. So how's the trading evolved in your perspective today, and what do traders need to look out for?
Yeah, definitely. Nowadays, if you look out, you see a lot of brokers out there, and they are trying to be competitive on spread, and as you mentioned. However, this is, for me, not an indication of a good broker. For me, a good broker needs to have for you a transparent environment, meaning is the trading environment good? You can execute your trades. You can get feedback on the trades which were not executed. Is the speed of the execution good? And there we have, of course, all the reports out there which you can check and see. Again, that's a big achievement of the regulators to request this kind of comparison. Yes, it's a very big data and difficult maybe for the end trader to be able to understand, but it's again a way towards supporting the end client to choose a good broker, the transparency of the trading execution. And coming back to the spreads, a broker has costs, and if someone offers you so small spreads, there is the possibility of hidden costs are extremely high. So what I mean with hidden costs, commissions, inactivity fees, overnight swaps, all those small details, they are written somewhere, but they are still hidden. Apart from that, also low spreads might cause also a bad execution, because you get rejected because the spread is out of the... So low spread as such is not only an indication of a good broker. Don't focus only on the spread. And everything has a cost, and sometimes it's better to accept a higher spread and work with someone you trust, and you know that there is someone you talk to, and you get a good feedback, or you know that there is a good backup, instead of going with someone who has a very low spread and you don't know if you make some money, if you get the money back or not.
So how are these reports? So what would... I would imagine that you'd get these reports, the execution speed, for example, from the trading platform?
No, mainly brokers which are regulated, they should have them on the website, like RTS 27, RTS 28. They were halted the last years, but still the previous years should be on there. And at the moment, it's also in discussion if it should be in a more... it was in a very complex way presented over there, which was also quite difficult for the broker to capture this data. At the moment, it's in discussion if the report should be a bit modified, to be simplified, more accessible, not accessible, or more easy to comprehend for the end trader, let's say.
Okay. What trading platforms does Swissquote have?
We have the MT4, MT5, and then we have the Advanced Trader, which is our in-house developed trading platform. Yeah, and
Cool.
it was developed by our founders. Yeah, they are 2 engineers, and they developed this trading platform, and it's out there. And
Well, there you go.
And we work on it constantly to improve the quality and the surface. To develop it.
Yeah, I mean, the user experience, the user interface is important.
Yes, of course. And it's a very nice setup because it's the trading platform and the client surface together, and it's unique.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I can highly recommend you to have a look at it.
Cool. So let's obviously in this when we post this, there will be links to where to find. So where can one find Swissquote? Where can one find Elif? Let's do some closing comments here.
Yeah, sure. We are active on social media and on all social media channels. Our website is very simple, swissquote.eu. You will be on our website, and always you can reach out to me via LinkedIn. You can find me. There are not so many Elif Kundakcis out there. The name is not as common as some others. So you can always reach out to me, and we have also very well managed social media channels. So yes.
Elif, thank you very much for your time. I think
you.
The podcasts, as I'm kind of experiencing, this is the 3rd one. We could be talking for hours.
Yeah.
No problem.
Thank you, Dinos, for having me here. Indeed, it went very fast, and I think there is still a lot to talk. Maybe we can have a part 2.
Well, why not? You're always welcome. I always do a fist bump with my guests at the end. Boom. Thank you. Elif, always a pleasure.
Always a pleasure working with you, Dino. I really enjoyed it, and really, let's have a part 2.
Oh, of course. Let's do it.
We still have a lot to talk.
A lot. Thank you so much.
Okay.